Haverhill Journal Live, where we're bringing you the best of our city live on this cold February night. I'm Lindsay Paris here at HC Media's Studio 101 location, along with my co-hosts, Dave Schultz and Sarah Blackstone. Tonight, we'll be talking about what's going on in the world of HC Media with Frank Novak, learning about the Persist program for mothers and their babies from Anna Jake's Hospital, and getting a demonstration on how to make chocolate from Master Chocolatier Kevin Miller of KRM Chocolates. But first, let's take a look at some of what's going on in Haverhill today. On January 15th, the Haverhill City Council voted to approve a zoning ordinance in regards to the selling of recreational marijuana. Approved areas include downtown Washington Street between Washington Square and Railroad Square, a stretch of Amesbury Line Road between Route 495 and Alice Street, a portion of Amesbury Road between 1 Alancet Street and 495, portions of the Office Park area just off of Broadway and across from Target, a stretch of River Street between Niagara Street and Lamont Street, portions of South Main Street in Bradford between Boston Road and the 125 connector, portions of Knipe and Boston Roads in Bradford, and a stretch of Plastow Road on the border of Haverhill and Plastow. Arguments for and against the zones were heard, with the result being a vote of 7-4 and 1 against. Councillor Bevilacqua was the sole no vote, and Councillor Michael McGonigal was not present. The folks on Beacon Hill will be taking a new look at the way that the state of Massachusetts allocates funding for local schools. We caught up with 3rd Essex District Representative Andy Vargas to find out more about the Foundation Budget Reform Bill.
The Foundation Budget Review Bill really seeks to reform our education funding formula here in Massachusetts. Massachusetts was actually one of the first states in the country to guarantee education to all of its citizens. At one point, it was only available to wealthier folks. And so we committed to that and said, as a society, we want to make sure that every student, every child has access to education. However, what we haven't spent enough time talking about is equitable education, quality education, no matter what city or town a student lives in. And so in 1993, the state came up with a formula to try to best address that equity issue. So the way that schools are funded are through not only city funds, but also through state funds. The problem is that we haven't revised that formula since 1993. And so the Foundation Budget Review seeks to say, look, there are communities in Massachusetts that have higher property values that can put more into education on their own, and there are communities that have lower property values and less wealth and need a little bit more assistance from the state. And so that's what we're looking to do within this Foundation Budget Review Bill. We're looking to make sure that cities like Haverhill are getting their fair share to ensure quality education no matter what zip code that you live in, because that is the greatest vehicle to economic opportunity in this country.
Senator Vargas co-sponsored the Foundation Budget Reform Bill. We look forward to more updates from Senator Vargas here on HC Media in the coming weeks and months. When it comes to snow, we've been lucky so far this year, but that luck is almost sure to change as we head into February. We here at the Haverhill Journal would like to remind everyone that the city's winter parking ban is still in effect and will be throughout the months of February and March. As of February 1st, all parking must be done on the even-numbered side of the street, changing to the odd-numbered side of the street starting March 1st and continuing through that month. Failure to adhere may result in a $25 fine. The parking ban officially ends on April 1st. A group of local business people with downtown Haverhill's best interests at heart are shaking things up in the city. HAVERHILL.biz was formed last year with the goal to offer a unified voice for businesses looking to advocate for projects, developments, and policies that improve downtown business in Haverhill. Recently, they've hosted 2 successful Creative Industry Night events and are in the planning stages for the next one. We talked to HAVERHILL.biz members Matt Juros and Ben Consoli about what we can expect to see next.
The origin story for HAVERHILL.biz started with a fella named Noah Koretz. And one of the things that he recommended is that we consider creating a group like HAVERHILL.biz. And what it is basically it's a neighborhood group for businesses in downtown. And our focus is on what happens right in the tight little area of downtown and in the sort of the diverse and dense neighborhoods around downtown. It creates it's a cultural and an economic ecosystem. And Creative Industry Nights, so these events, these Creative Industry Nights, are about figuring out who we are. And we've identified clusters of different types of businesses, and we organize an evening around that cluster. The most recent one we had was about the music industry in Haverhill. We found there's recording studios, there are professional musicians who give lessons, there's 2 different types of band camp type organizations in town, there are talented performers. And so we collected them and gave people a venue to basically discuss who they are, and then we had a keynote, and that's our pattern, is to have sort of a keynote superstar, and then our cluster in Haverhill sort of gets a chance to speak. So it's an opportunity to basically put our arms around what's going on here, and cast the light on it, see who shows up.
One of the great things about the Creative Industry Night is it sort of uncovers these little pockets of creativity downtown and all throughout Haverhill. And what we've discovered is that there is a thriving film community here. And our guests are going to include a variety of people that are working professionally in video and film production. Now that's going to be across major motion features, documentaries, commercial work. We're even exploring maybe some of the behind the scenes people, cinematographers or casting agents, people that can get at all the different aspects of filmmaking. We also think it's important to have Haverhill Community Television represented at the event too, because community television is where a lot of us, myself included, this is where we begin. Community television is the birthplace of film and video production within communities. And those services that they offer, especially Haverhill Community Television, the services that they offer are really what give people their start in this industry.
Look for the HAVERHILL.biz Creative Industry Night to take place sometime in April. With February being Black History Month, we thought it would be a great time to take a look back at a story we covered in February of 2016 concerning the role Haverhill played in the abolitionist movement, and specifically the Underground Railroad.
So my son was training for the Emmaus Cycle for Shelter fundraising ride, and my daughter's school had a Harriet Tubman personality come in to talk about the Underground Railroad, and that got me interested in looking up some information about it. And I looked at Underground Railroad stops that are known in Massachusetts, and I found this one in my hometown that I had never noticed in living here for 50 years. Haverhill was a terminal point in Massachusetts for slaves on their way to New Hampshire and then up to Canada. The Underground Railroad, as many people know, was a loosely knit, not well organized system of houses and stops and people who were abolitionists, ex-slaves, or escaped slaves themselves, who were helping the escaped slaves make their way off to someplace like Massachusetts, New England states, other northern states, or Canada. The slaves were moved either on foot or very often taken by the benefactors that they came across, like John Greenleaf Whittier, who was best friends with the fellow who owned this house, the Harmon House here in Haverhill.
Haverhill native and poet John Greenleaf Whittier was also an outspoken abolitionist. He conducted large numbers of escaped slaves to the home of his friend David Harmon, a wealthy shoe manufacturer and owner of this home on Summer Street. It is the only surviving confirmed Underground Railroad stop in Haverhill and bears a plaque highlighting its history. A second home in East Haverhill, on Saunders Hill near the Merrimack border, is also known to have served as an Underground Railroad stop. Deacon Daniel Hoyt took in as many as 5 escapees at a time. The home was torn down many years ago, but in the 1930s, historian Fred Noyes drew this illustration from memory.
The people who were doing this were putting themselves at risk of a $1,000 fine and up to 6 months in prison at the time. While it was in play, they weren't advertising where they were. And when it was all said and done, a lot of the people who do that type of work don't brag about it. And so some of them, the houses are just lost.
Other stops along the Sullivan's route included the Capon House and adjacent Gould Barn in Topsfield Center, today a museum that contains a small selection of abolitionist memorabilia. The Brocklebank Museum on Main Street in Georgetown, home of Harriet Beecher Stowe's brother Charles Beecher in the 1850s, and the Lemuel Marden House on Route 113 in Groveland, where leg irons were discovered in a secret room many decades after the Civil War.
This house dates back to 1835 or so. The Underground Railroad itself predates it by quite a few years. The first recorded instance of Massachusetts people helping the slaves escape north was in 1793, and that kept up till the end of the Civil War. What I can tell you is, doing this in broad daylight on paved, well-maintained roads with a GPS under absolutely no pressure whatsoever, we at one point just got hopelessly lost. When you compare that to the people who had to do this while running for their lives in the pitch black darkness, relying only on the kindness of strangers to get through the next couple days, it's pretty amazing that anyone made it north at all. It's pretty incredible.
Here in the big, wide HC media world, the month of February is chock full of exciting events that you can be a part of. On the Journal set is my co-host Dave Schultz with HC Media volunteer Frank Novak to tell us more about what he's got planned.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm joined here tonight with Frank Novak, and just wanted to start a little something here and say Frank and I are both volunteers here at HC Media, and there's a lot of people don't know the things they can do with HC Media programming. You can do your own TV shows. You can do your own short documentary films. You can even have events here at Studio 101. There's a lot of things you can do, and that's why we've asked Frank to join us here. So, Frank.
Great to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So, you have had a show on HC Media for about 30 years, is that what I understand?
I guess. I've lost count, but it's been a lot of fun over the years. You know, we've started back, I think, in the 1980s, I guess it was. Oh. You know, and there have been a lot of changes as time has come along, technologically mostly, but the big thing in being a volunteer, you're able to exercise other skills that you may have that you don't utilize on a day-to-day basis in whatever your other vocation happens to be. I know you happen to be you're in advertising, I'm in the real estate business, but it doesn't mean that we can't exercise our skills or apply our curiosities to something else, which may be constructive, which the viewers may like to see too.
Right. I personally like it because you can, if there's a story you want to tell, you're able to do it, and you're able to do it in a media, in a format that people you can share with the world. You can share on Channel 22 or share on over the internet, on Facebook and on YouTube and whatever you like.
And it can be creative, it can be constructive as well for people to be involved, to be informed, and also be entertained.
You have a new show coming up in a couple of weeks, yes, with the mayor?
Well, it's a live broadcast because typically our programs go live to tape. We'll tape them on a certain day, and then later on, about an hour later, that program airs, so it goes live to tape. But this program, we're having an open forum, a live broadcast, call-in program with a live Facebook feed too. People can watch this on HC Media through Channel 22, or they can watch it on their Facebook as well. And they can communicate. We're going to have as our special guest the mayor of the city of Haverhill, James J. Fiorentini, and he is going to take all of your questions live. And that is live, unfiltered. The only person that's going to be there is me to make sure I keep him on the set to answer all of these questions. Anybody has always figured, you live in the city of Haverhill, you understand the mayor's doing as good a job as he can. There are a lot of accomplishments that the city of Haverhill can point to, but somebody might say, you know what I tell the mayor? You know what I'd suggest to the mayor? Here's your chance.
This is the opportunity.
Whatever that space is that you are going to fill in is what you can now ask him or tell him.
Well,
it's a question, it's a comment, and this way, if you say this to him, we are trying to go ahead and give you the answers as you ask the question. And if our biggest liability is going to be that we can't get all the questions in on the air, that's fine. We'll make an effort to get you the answers as best we can after the broadcast as well. So we want people to tune in February 21st, 7 p.m. on HCTV, Channel 22, and HC Media Facebook Live.
That is can't miss television. Frank, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
So the month of February is the month of Valentine's Day. And I don't know about anybody else out there, but for us here at Haverhill Journal, Valentine's Day makes us think of candy. So we have over at our demonstration table right now, we've got Master Chocolatiers Kevin Miller and Eunice Miller, joined by HC Media's own Sarah Blackstone to show us how the sweet stuff is made. Sarah?
Thanks, Dave and Frank. I will make sure I tune in February 21st to speak to the mayor. But now I want to speak to these two because they are Kevin and Eunice from KRM Chocolates, and they want to fill me in on all the cool, delicious treats that they have. So yeah, tell me about you guys and how you got started with chocolate.
Sure.
So Kevin had been a hobbyist in chocolate for many years, probably about 15 years. And in December of 2011, Kevin had a stroke, and he was not able to multitask anymore, and therefore he wasn't able to return to his formal line of work.
Oh.
And eventually, after a few months, our insurance company didn't want to pay for cognitive rehab for him anymore either. And I thought to myself, I don't think it's a good idea for Kevin to just be sitting around watching daytime TV and telling me about the Price is Right models and things like that when I came home from work. So I thought about it for a long time, and I thought, what could we do that would stimulate Kevin's brain so that he would continue to recover? And one night I came home from work and I said, Kevin, we're going to take that little hobby that you have and we are going to turn it into a chocolate business. But I really intended it for rehabilitation purposes, so that he would have something to do, he would have purpose in life, that there would be things that he needed to do that would stimulate his brain again. So we started, and of course at the beginning I had to do a lot of the administrative work because he wasn't really able to at the very start of it, but he was able to make the chocolate, and we were able to go out to farmers markets and sell the chocolate together.
Very nice.
So that was how we got started, and little did either of us know that this rehabilitative venture on my part for Kevin's benefit was going to turn into a viable business, and it is a business. We've been in business now for 6 years, doing farmers markets, craft fairs. We have a website, and we do very nicely.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank
Great
you.
job, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, tell me a little bit more, Kevin. Like, what this was a hobby. So what are some of your favorite things that you like to make out of
Oh, well, KRM Chocolates actually specializes in 3 different items. First, we have an entire array of barks that we make, which I actually have some out here on display that are all out there. We also make lollipops for various occasions because it's Valentine's Day. I made some lollipops. I don't know if you can see them. Those lollipops actually have roses on them that you can see. We have some that say kiss, and we have some teddy bears with hearts on them. But for today, what I thought I would do, because it's Valentine's Day, which of course is a very sweet holiday, I thought I would make something. I thought I'd make something very sweet today. So what we're going to make today is we're going to make truffles that have a filling that's made with pure maple cream.
Ooh.
Now, first, what maple cream is pure maple syrup that is whipped into a cream.
Nice.
So I myself do not make the maple cream. I have a friend of mine who owns a maple farm, and every spring he harvests the syrup and he makes the cream for me. Which I use, and that's what we're doing today. So
Sounds
to
like
make
a delicious pear.
Oh yes, to make the truffles. It's actually a 3-step process, and because I certainly assume that we don't really have facilities here to make things, what I did was I made them in steps for you to show you how it's done. The truffles that I make are actually a 3-step process. So these truffles are being made with a dark chocolate, and when they're all done, you'll see that they're in the shape of Valentine hearts. So. As I say, it's a 3-step process. The first step, I have a mold here to show you. The first step is I just put in a very small amount of dark chocolate just to line the molds, and I then turn it around. I then turn it over and dump it all out. So all it does is create a little shell of the chocolates. The second step is I take the maple cream and I heat it a little bit because if you've ever tried maple cream, it's actually very thick. So I heat it a little bit just to soften it up and to make it a little less viscous, so I can pour it in better. And I pour in the middle of the Valentine, and then because truffles, I'm sure you've all seen truffles before, they're a shell with a filling inside. I put the filling in, and I then take more chocolate, pour it over the top of it to close the shell. And once it's all closed, it then goes into a cooler to chill down for a while.
Ooh, how long does it
It's
go in
a-
the cooler for?
These
I'd wanna eat 'em right away.
These take about a half an hour
Oh,
to
that's
cool.
not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Not too bad. They chill down pretty quickly, and when it's all done,
Look at that.
these are the dark ones. I made 2 today. These are the dark ones, and you can see they're Valentine hearts. And I also made milk chocolate ones, which look like little wrapped gifts.
Yeah, I
for
love
you.
that. Those look beautiful.
So thank you, thank you very much. And that's what I have for today. We have, as I say, we have an entire array of box, and we have other truffles. I also make truffles using
great.
various wines
Yeah, I see.
that I have.
Ooh, mix them with wines.
Yes,
That's
with various
nice.
wines that are in
You
the.
need to tell me all. Well, I love pairing wine and chocolate together, so I can't wait to hear more about that. And for you guys at home who want to hear more about Eunice and Kevin from KRM Chocolates, you'll have to go and check them out at your local farmers market. So now we're going to bring it over to Lindsay, who's with Allison from Anna Jake's.
Thanks, Sarah, Kevin, and Eunice of KRM Chocolates. I cannot wait to try some when this shoot is over. But right now, I am here on set with Allison Sikelski. She's the Director of Maternal Child Health at Anna Jake's Hospital, who just recently opened up a new office here in Haverhill on Primrose Street. And she's here tonight to talk about the Persist program, a new program for mothers and their infants. So, Allison, tell us a little bit about what the Persist program is and how it's helping mothers and children in the region.
Sure. The Persist program was designed as a collaborative effort to help moms and their babies, and moms with substance use disorder or who are at risk for substance use disorder. What it does is that we have a patient care navigator who meets with people prenatally in the office at Women's Health Care in Haverhill. We have a support group for moms so they can get to meet other moms who are in the same shoes and get a lot of peer support. We have 2 physicians who do prescribing of medication-assisted treatment if needed. And then all of that carries over to the hospital when the woman gives birth. She already knows the big part of the team. It reduces her fear and anxiety, and we support them all the way through the first year postpartum.
It's a difficult transition for a mother even who doesn't have a substance abuse problem, let alone for someone who's facing that and battling that every day.
And a lot of these women have faced a lot of judgment and stigma from a lot of healthcare providers, and in our program we really try to present these women with belief and hope, and the outcomes have been fantastic.
That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about how the whole initiative began. What spurred you to create this program?
It was kind of twofold. We noticed a large increase in women with opioid use disorder, and we noticed a real lack of access in the community. And at the same time, we realized that these people have a really unique opportunity. They're very motivated when they're pregnant to make positive changes. Every mother wants the absolute best start for her baby, no matter who they are. And we have a lot of interactions with them because they have all the prenatal visits and then the time in the hospital. Generally, the babies end up staying in the hospital for a while as well. And we figured we could do a better job with all those frequent meetings.
Right. Now, is this program located in Haverhill or in Newburyport?
Well, it's collaborative effort from the Anna Jake's Hospital Birth Center, our case management department, our behavioral health unit, and women's health care in both locations. We all work together. Primarily, most of the services are out of the Haverhill office, though.
Okay. So what have you found rewarding about working with these mothers who sort of facing huge stigma, huge challenges, and then, maybe having their first child, second child, but dealing with a new infant? It must be very rewarding. There must have been some very rewarding moments working with them.
We just celebrated a 1 year of sobriety and a 1 year birthday of a beautiful baby girl last week. We had a little birthday party for her, and it's just so amazing to see a woman put her life back together. She got the mental health services she needed. She got the medication she needed. She now has a job, an apartment, and support. She's doing fantastic. And it really benefits the whole community when we can help women get to that place.
Right. So is the Persist program open to women throughout the community who may be facing this kind of challenge and looking for some support like that?
The Persist program, the support group's open to any woman who's pregnant through the first year after they've had their baby, and their babies are welcome to come to group to get the services such as our patient care navigator and prescribing. Of course, they'd have to be a patient of Women's Health Care.
So Allison, tell us a little bit about how you're funding and supporting this program?
That's such a great question because insurance companies don't cover things like support groups and the time it takes to support these women. We got started with a grant from the Peter and Elizabeth C. Tower Foundation, and since then we've had multiple other small funders come forward to help us out.
That's excellent. Well, if you're interested in learning more about the Persist program, you can visit Anna Jake's website at ajh.org. Thank you so much, Allison Sikelski, Director of Maternal Child Health from Anna Jake's Hospital. That wraps up our show for today, and we are bringing everybody back on set. Sarah Blackstone, Dave Schultz, Frank Novak, and our chocolatiers, Kevin and Eunice Miller. So, Dave, what'd you think? Amazing show.
Oh, another great show. Always a great show,
Lots
Lindsay.
of chocolates. Sarah's bringing the chocolate, right? It's all
Sarah's
good.
always a bonus on the
She's a
show,
bonus.
too.
So the balloons,
Yes.
everything.
Oh.
So anyway, we will see you next month for our March episode. We might have some St. Patrick's Day shenanigans going on. You just have to wait and see. I'm Lindsay Paris for the Haverhill Journal and HC Media. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time.